You are seeing this because you have been chosen. You are invited to our exclusive AR Crypto Mastermind 24 event in Panama City, Panama, to learn the most advanced crypto profit-making strategies in the decentralized finance universe. When? August 14th to the 18th. Only 100 people in the entire world will be attending. Hurry. There is a limited amount of tickets left.
So I can't wait to see you all at our 2024 Mastermind here in beautiful Panama.
What's up, everybody? How's it going? Can't wait to share with you guys my YouTube live today because there is some gems. There are some gems that we are going to be talking about today that I think all of you can profit from. All of you can start to think a little bit differently. This is something that's definitely near and dear to my heart because I have definitely moved all around the world and I know the power of geo arbitraging. Okay. But this is going to be something that I've been talking about for a very long time, and I'm never going to stop talking about it until there's just another solution, which I don't know, maybe there will be a solution where everybody just stays where they're at and everything is utopian. I don't know. But until then, we are going to be constantly looking how we can make more money, save more money. And this is the key thing that we're going to be talking about today. But I'm going to be talking about my what my marketing department calls gventures. All right. And what is a gventure? A gventure is an adventure that Gaven has been on. All right. And so let's go ahead and get on with it because I do want to share with you guys all of these gems that we've got going on. Oh, whoops, wrong one. Hold on. I got the wrong screen. Let's see if I can get in here with the right one this time. There we go. All right. So why I left the US for Panama. Okay, again, this is something that is definitely near and dear. I'm not advising you to do it. This is just what I did, and I'm going to explain to you why I did. Okay, so the first thing is that I'm originally from Southern California. Now I'm from Panama, obviously, but I'm originally from Southern California. You know, Southern California, where I was at particularly, I was in Newport Beach, California, and Dana Point, California, Laguna Niguel. For those of you that have been to Southern California, y'all know where that's at, or have lived there. Y'all know where that's at. And it's a very beautiful place. It's a utopia nestled right in between San Diego and Los Angeles. And, you know, we've got good waves, sunny weather. It's 70 degrees year round for the most part. And it's a very, very, very beautiful place. There is no doubt it is probably just some of the best weather in the world, very Mediterranean climate. And this was one of the things that really kept me there because, you know, my mom, she's from Cuba, and where I was born in Miami, she hates the humidity. She hates the warm weather. She hates the heat. And so her moving to Southern California was like her idea of just paradise. Now, that paradise, you know, I really liked growing up there. It was a beautiful area. But as I got older, I started to feel that clamp of the cost of living increase. And then coupled that with just the very aggressive tax communist party of the state of California, I just said, you know what? Screw this. All right. I'm definitely not going to participate in this system anymore. I'd rather go somewhere else. And so what kind of changed my mind? Well, I was back in 2020, I was living in the country of Russia in this particular region called Sochi. And Sochi has very Mediterranean weather. In fact, they call it Sochifornia because the weather there, 70, well, not quite 70 degrees, but it was very, very moderate tempered degrees there where it wasn't so cold. And so, you know, I was out there during their winter, spring, and then at the beginning of their summertime. And while I was out there, I was like, man, the cost of living here is next to nothing. I mean, I was living off of like a king, guys and gals. All right. I'm talking, I had an ocean view in a really nice apartment, and I would eat out once per day. Okay. I would eat the best food that was there available. And I was living off of like $1,800 a month. Okay. And I had a nice 1-bedroom apartment that was, again, in a really, really nice area. And so I was comparing that with what was going on in the United States. And I'm like, dude, I need to figure out how I'm going to work remotely going on, because I don't want to pay in Southern California. I was paying like $10,000, just me alone, you know, between my car, my apartment, between all of these things. And I'm just sitting there going, no. I'm not going to do this any longer. All right. I'm going to figure out how I can arbitrage the world. Now, another reason that I decided to leave the United States is just because of a lot of the division that's going on. And look, this is not something that just started yesterday, okay? This is something that's been going on for a very, very long time. However, you know, when I go and travel to other countries, there are some countries that are pretty divided, but for the most part, they can figure out their differences and they come together at the end of the day, where I feel like in the United States, it just kind of keeps getting progressively worse and worse. Now, there are other countries, again, that are very divided, that are far worse than the United States. But guess what? I don't live there. Okay. And I'm going to go honestly to the country that ticks the most amount of my boxes. Is there any one perfect country for anybody? I don't know. Maybe there is, but right now I'm going to be talking about Panama. But this is one of the reasons that I left the country. Now, another reason was the fact that the United States government is just out of control with their debt, and I'm going to show you some graphs here that shows that they're just one of the most indebted nations in the world. In fact, right now, this is an article here that I pulled up. I think it was from Forbes, that essentially the debt now is eating the interest on the debt. Okay. The interest on the debt per year is eating 76% of all income taxes reported. I mean, guys, gals, I've been studying this stuff for long enough now. You know, I've been studying Ray Dalio. I forgot what the name of his book is, The Changing of the World Order. I go through countless amount of YouTube videos. I go through countless amount of data and articles to see the writing on the wall here. Now, could the United States turn this around? Yeah. And I'm not ruling them out because, man, they've pulled themselves out of many different things before in the past. But at the same time, I'm going to show you some of the statistics today. And I just think it's going to be a little bit harder this time around. Now, take a look at this, okay? This is, by the way, going back to this, me living outside of the country, I automatically get a $125,000 deduction, okay? And there's all sorts of creative things that I can do legally to save money on my taxes by setting up different entities and doing certain things to make sure that I'm covered tax-wise. There's lots of things that you can do if you make more than $125,000. Now, here's the thing though, okay? And this is one of the things that I look at and I'm like, this is definitely a reason why I don't want to live in the United States. For those of you that think that the United States government is going to just miraculously start lowering your taxes, think again. The trend is they're going to keep hiring your taxes. Why? Well, look at this. This is the fiscal years of the budget that we've had. I mean, if this was the Bitcoin chart, you would buy it all day long, but it's not. This is actually a chart that, even though it's going up against you if you live in the United States. So what do they keep doing? They keep adding more and more to the budget. and there is no end in sight. Now they've had like a little bit of a dip, and they've had dips before, okay, here and here, but for the most part, this just keeps climbing. And you can see here, back in 2022, in 2023, it went down, but in 2024 spiked right back up again. Okay. And they're saying that by 2029, that we are going to have a budget of 8.08%, despite the fact that right now we're literally collecting maybe 65% of what our budget is. The rest is printed money, and that money gets added to the deficit. Okay. So, oh, whoops. I don't know why this came on, but oh man, hold on. Okay. So I've lived in multiple different places before settling into Panama. And so don't think that I just like went to one place and that was it. Okay. It was like dating. All right. I wanted to make sure before I ended up nestling up to my darling that I've dated a little bit, that I went out and I saw the world, and I traveled and saw the things that I liked, I didn't like, and all that stuff. So I did spend some time traveling the world. A couple of the places that I went to, here's Denver. I was living in Denver. Okay. So I stayed in the United States when I actually came back from Russia. This was my view from my apartment in the country of Georgia. It was so beautiful. I mean, this was Georgian Parliament. Here's this beautiful church. And then you had the view of the huge church over here. And you just had all the city here. And I would just wake up and watch the sunrise. And it was just absolutely epic. And then, here's the one of the parks that they had there. Their fall times are spectacular. It was seriously beautiful. And guess what? It was Mediterranean climate, just like, I grew up with. And you were 2 hours away from a beach. You could live in that Mediterranean climate on the beach. It was actually very close to Sochi, actually. If you took a boat, it was just a couple of hours away on the Black Sea. But, you had these real moderate seasons, so it wouldn't get so hot. You weren't in the desert. It wasn't so humid. It was very, the humidity was whatever, 70, 80%. The climate was really good. And best of all, the cost of living was super, super cheap, which, by the way, everybody, I have Ruben, my DJ. He's going to be watching out for, questions. So if you have questions, I will answer them at the end, but ask questions, because this is a topic that is very near and dear to my heart, that I've studied, that I still study. I am still a student of geo arbitraging, of different places where people can live and get the best bang for their buck. And again, there is no one size fits all. Maybe you want Mediterranean weather. Maybe you like hot and humid weather. Maybe you like desert and dry weather. Maybe you like mountain weather. I'm telling you, I've been to a lot of different places in the world. I haven't been everywhere, but I can tell you about a few different places where you can go, and the pluses and minuses about those places. Okay. So a couple of other places that I ended up moving to, I was in Mexico. I was supposed to be there for a little bit longer. I was there for about 30 days. Didn't quite like it so much. It was very beautiful. This is Mexico right here. This is it's like a cool little vegan yoga retreat that they had there. They had different types of food, but vegan was one of them. It was really, really cool. This was here near here, Costa Rica, one of the hot springs near where I used to live. And it was so cool because right next to a volcano. It ended up started raining one day while I was out there. I would go there like maybe once or twice a week, and I would just chill in these hot springs, and it was so much fun. Sometimes it would rain, and it would just steam off of there. I would go and have some real nice natural juices. And then this is actually where I lived in Costa Rica. All right. My wife and I were probably on literally 9 acres. Okay. It was so cool. We had 9 acres to ourselves, but she ended up coming to me one day and she just was in tears. She was pregnant. She was probably 4 or 5 months pregnant. And she's just like, I am so bored out here. I need like some city life. I need to go walk a city. I need to go, I want Amazon. I want all sorts of cool things. So we ended up going to San Jose in the country of Costa Rica. We didn't like it. It wasn't our fit. And so we ended up in Panama. All right. And this is, you know, almost every day I get out, I get some sun. I get to go walking on one of the boardwalks there called the Cinta Costera. And I get to go work out in like one of the gyms that are near right on the ocean. You know, I get my vitamin D. I get to ground myself, put my feet in the ground. This is a view from our apartment right now. This was a full moon, a full blood moon, a few months ago down here. It was super beautiful. And here's just kind of like the skyline that you have when you're walking here on their boardwalk. It's really, really, really cool. It was a city that we could walk in. We had a lot of amenities. We had good, you know, dining. We had good coffee shops where there's places to work. There's a good network of expats here. You know, it wasn't like Costa Rica. Our network of expats were the monkeys living in the trees, like literally. All right. Like that came from the other part of the jungle or something. That was who we ended up getting. So this is definitely something that we ended up really, really enjoying when we got to Panama. Okay. But listen, what glitters is not always gold. All right. So I'm going to give you the pros and the cons today. All right. And this is a place where I live and I can shill it all I want, but I'm going to tell you the good, the bad, and the ugly. All right. Today. Now, let's take a look at some other statistics here. One of the reasons that we decided to stay in Panama was because you see here, this is the Jet. That's my business partner and best friend. Debt to GDP for the United States is 121%. All right. Which is really, really, really high. You can see all of these countries here, meaning the amount of debt that they have to the amount that their gross domestic product, all the stuff that they're creating and buying and all that stuff is 121% over that, which is, let me tell you, not a good thing. So take a look at this. Except for Venezuela on this screenshot, which by the way, Venezuela had crazy ass hyperinflation. Okay. The United States is second place in a place where you don't want to be second place. All right. Now, there's maybe 2 or 3 other countries that are higher than this. Japan is one of them with like crazy amount of debt. And they experienced many, many years of what's called stagflation. So their prices didn't go up, they didn't go down, but they also didn't innovate. Like at one point in time back in the 80s and the 90s, Japan was it, man. Like you got everything from Japan, Sony, Toyota, all of these huge brands. But when you have this massive amount of debt and you keep printing and printing and printing, and they're not doing anything about the tax or how they're spending their taxes, this is what starts to happen. You start to have what's called stagflation. Now, let's take a look at Panama. Panama's 54, so less than half the debt to GDP that the United States has. Now, the other cool thing about Panama is it doesn't have a central reserve bank. They used a derivative of the dollar, but there is no central reserve bank. So they do have to have their assets backed by dollars, which is essentially what the United States is not doing. They're not backing it with anything. They call it the petrodollar, but it's not backed by it. People are just using the dollar to buy it. Now, Saudi Arabia is moving away from that now. So Saudi Arabia is the biggest oil producer in the world. They've now said that they're not going to be signing the new agreement to use the dollar exclusively to buy oil, to buy their oil. And so now the yen is starting to come into play, the rubles, all that stuff. The euro, people are starting to use other currencies to buy that. And the dollar's starting to lose its luster. By the way, can you guys give me a like if you're liking this content already? Give me a like, share this video with your friends because we want to get more people learning about stuff like this so that they don't have to feel like they're stuck in their world. And I'm going to give you lots of solutions today, but we're going to talk about what the problems are. Now, the inflation rate in Panama is epic. All right. It is epic. Like the United States wishes they had the inflation rate. In fact, it is some of the lowest inflation in the world. And again, why? They don't have a Federal Reserve Bank here, okay, which is a privately owned bank, okay? They do not have a Federal Reserve Bank. And so what ends up happening with that is they're much more fiscally responsible. They can't just print things out of thin air. They're like, no, look, this is how much we have. We have to live within our means, okay? And so look at this. In 2021, at the height of the pandemic, when the United States was going up to like 8%, which I think it was like way, way higher. But look, 2.86%, that was at the height. It's now starting to come down, but I couldn't find the data just quite yet, okay? 1.63% before that, okay? Negative, meaning prices went down in Panama, negative 1.55% in 2020 and negative 0.36% in 2029, all before all of this madness and pandemic started. So this is a good thing. When I saw this, I was like, maybe I want to be in this country because my rent isn't going to get jacked up overnight, even though it kind of did. But when I got in, I think I actually stole my rent. Okay. But that's for another story. Now, the other thing, safety is the most important thing for me. Let me repeat this. Safety is the number one thing for me when I go and live in another country. I'm not going to go live in a country where I am going to get, mugged or killed or ransacked. I don't want anything to do with any country like that. Okay. What I want is a country where I can feel safe. Okay. Now, a misconception in a lot of Latin American countries is that it's super dangerous and you're going to get mixed up with cartels and you're going to die. All right. That couldn't be further from the truth. And here's a nice diagram from Latino Metrics, which I subscribe to. I would highly recommend subscribing to them. They're really good. But essentially, man, this thing is really bothering me. I don't know why. There we go. All right. So essentially, when you take a look at this, among all Latin American countries, Panama's like right smack dab in the middle. And in the world, it's really, really low compared to a lot of other countries. Now, is it as low as like Spain? Spain has like one of the lowest murder incidents. I think it's like 2 people per 100,000. No, but is it, like what Venezuela? No, 60 per 100,000. That's a lot of people. All right. That's a lot of people. And I honestly, I don't want to go to Venezuela probably ever unless they pull like an El Salvador. Now you can see though, like it's gone up just a little bit, but it's like barely noticeable. And I actually think that this next year, it's actually going to come down because Panama just keeps getting progressively safer and safer. And especially now they brought in a very conservative government that I think is going to do some wonders where they're actually starting to send back a lot of illegal immigrants that have come here in the past years, which have caused a lot of riffraff. And by the way, where were they from? Venezuela. And there's a lot of great Venezuelans here, by the way. I want to make sure that you know that. There's a lot of really great Venezuelans. And Venezuela is doing a better job. You can see here this green. They're like way, way lower than they were back in 2019. But it's still, this is way too high for my liking. Honduras, again, another place that I'm not going. Ecuador is just, man, this is the place where you want to be if you're a criminal, I guess. But this, in my opinion, Panama is like, it's low enough to where I'm like, okay, this is really a safe place. Now, this also depends on where you live. It's just like anywhere else. Okay. You may live in South Central, all right, LA, and things are going to be way more dangerous than Newport Beach, right? Even though it's kind of weird. Newport Beach is considered one of the most dangerous cities in California because of the amount of DUIs that they have there. All right. So, but all in all, you want to be living in the safer areas. And here there's tons of safe areas like Colombia. If you take a look at Colombia, Colombia shows very, very high, 25% or 25 to every 100,000 people. However, there are pockets of Colombia where you go live, and like I have friends who live over there. They're like, no, man, it is safe. It's Beverly Hills. All right. It is safe. It's beautiful. I've been here for 12, 15 years and I've never had any problems. And so, again, you want to choose where you live. But again, when you take a look at overall the countries, I'm like, okay, Panama looks pretty good. Is it as good as Chile? No. Is it as good as Argentina? No. Is it as good as, Paraguay, Bolivia? No, but it's pretty good. All right. It's pretty good. Now, cost of living index. This is another thing. How much am I going to be paying? Now, let me say one thing. Panama, compared to probably a lot of Latin America, is definitely one of the higher countries to live in, okay, in terms of cost of living expenses. Now, is it as expensive as like Miami? No. But is it as, cheap as the country of Georgia, where I used to live next to Russia? No, not that either. Is it as cheap as Colombia? No, it's not that either. Okay. So, and I'll explain to you why that is. But if you take a look at it there, and I found different things I'm going to show you on the cost of living. But right here, cost of living index, 43.85 compared to the United States as a whole, 67.43. Okay. So way, way cheaper. And I found this as well. This is another place where they're saying it's as low as 83% less expensive than the United States by living in Panama. So imagine you're making $10,000. You decide that you want to go somewhere else, or you're spending $10,000 and you want to go somewhere else. You could live for that same cost of living in the country of Panama for like $2,000 or something like that. All right. Not bad, right? Not bad. So this is something that even when I moved here, I was like, oh, cool. Like my cost of living, in Newport Beach was like something $14,000, $15,000 at its height. And here, living that same lifestyle, probably actually a little bit better, okay, because I would go out more often because I had more money. The same type of lifestyle was costing me like literally $5,000 per month, max, with me and my wife, by the way, me and my wife. Now, another thing that they have here is really good food. If you're in the United States, like every time I go to the United States, and I'm a colon cancer survivor, so now, like I did have a piece of my colon removed from a surgery, very small, all right? Luckily, the doctor said I had a little bit to give. Now I wouldn't, because I know the arts of healing myself, okay? And I know where to go to heal myself organically and holistically and all that stuff. However, back then I freaked out. I didn't know. I was just on my awakening journey, all right? And so what ended up happening was I started eating better food. But when I left the United States, I pretty much have been out of the United States ever since I left it, okay? And that was back in 2021. I left in 2020, but I came back and I stayed for about another year. And then I ended up leaving a year later. And my stomach has gotten so used to this good food. And now my stomach is like my temperature gauge in regards to if I'm eating good food or not. Okay. And here in Panama, I don't always get organic because it's very, very hard to find. Although I just found this the other day. Okay. I usually go to the farmers markets and I ask them, is this organic? They usually say, oh yeah, it's organic, but I don't really believe it. But their non-organic food is probably better than the United States organic food. And not just that, it's not imported. And a lot of the foods that I was getting from Whole Foods, which is, and Sprouts, was coming from Mexico, Ecuador, Latin America. Anyways. And I always used to ask like, well, how the heck do you get it from Colombia? Your bananas here from Colombia, and they still look like this, and they're like perfectly yellow and all this stuff, where like now, like I lived in the jungle. I would literally have the guy, our gardener, if you want to call him that, like the groundskeeper, I should call him, go and cut bananas off of the trees. Okay. And he would bring them to me, and yeah, it would take a little bit to get ripe, but once they were ripe, man, they would get ripe like this, they've got to spray all these fruits and vegetables that they bring over, because if not, that's the natural process. They ripen very, very quickly, right? So the other thing too is internet service, okay? I need fast internet. That is like a no freaking brainer, okay? A no-brainer that I need fast internet. So you can take a look, like some of the fastest internet, like in Latin America, Chile is the fastest, okay? But compared to like the rest of the world, you can see here, even the United States, it's not quite that fast compared to like Singapore, Hong Kong, Chile, UAE. Okay. I've been to 3 of these 5 countries here. And then, you have the United States down here. Now, Panama is doing not bad compared to like the rest of the world. You can see here, world average down here, Panama way ahead. And I'm actually moving next week, and I went to go buy new internet service, and I found out that I'm getting like, the high, like 100 gigs or something like that. I can't remember. It's like the highest for like $50. And so I was like, okay, that's a steal. Like right now I have 500 for $60. So the internet service is progressively getting better here, and they are setting up fiber all over the city. That's one thing that they're doing. One of the providers, T-Mobile, is doing, and they're just crushing it. But Panama, I wouldn't be surprised if this just ends up over here, because again, this is 300 gigs. Now I just got 100 to 100 gigs. So I think that it'll end up coming much faster. Sorry, it was 1,000 gigs. It was 1,000 gigs. So this is going to be much quicker here coming soon. Now, one of the things that I learned in my travels to Dubai, because I ended up going to Dubai, I fell in love with Dubai. I'm not going to lie. Dubai is like really cool when it's not like 150 million, bajillion, quadrillion degrees. Okay. But one of the things that I noticed when we were there, it wasn't so hot. It was like in the 90s, but it wasn't like summertime like it is right now. It's probably like 140. All right. That's just where I draw the line. I'm not a camel. I do not want to live in the desert. All right. Like that. It's just way too hot for me. And even if you're like, oh yeah, but you can live inside. I'm like, I don't want to live inside. I want to live outside. Right. But one of the things was the air quality in Dubai was absolutely garbage. And it wasn't from pollution. It was from the desert. So you would like go and you would, you'd be in one part of the city and look at like where the Burj Khalifa was. And there was just like this weird brown haze. It didn't look like smog. And I remember asking one of the locals while I was there, I was like, yo, man, what's that? Like, what's that haze over there? Like, and like, why can't I breathe so well here? And he's like, oh yeah, that's just like little dust particles from the desert. And I'm like, so I'm like inhaling that stuff right now. And he's like, oh yeah, like people don't really like run outside. And I'm like, I run outside every day in Panama. Well, here's what it looks like. And oh man, I forgot to hit the comparison, but the higher it goes, the worse it gets. So like 40, really good. You're going to live. All right. In fact, your lungs are going to thank you for it. A lot of O3, highly oxygenated, your longer living elements down here. Okay. Where in Dubai, it was like 111, which is like horrible. And when I looked it up, it was like the 3rd worst air pollution in the world. Again, it was natural air pollution, but I don't care if it's natural or unnatural. I want clean air. Like I want an environment that is like highly suitable for human beings. And Panama really does have that. Like the humidity is perfect. Does it get hot? You bet your ass it does. But there is a certain amount of humidity that we need as humans. Like realistically, if you were like naked, all right, think about this. If you were a human animal, not a human being, you are a human animal. We have all the same things, all the same skin and, not the same brain. Maybe our heads are a little bit smaller or something, but, just same skin, feet, all this stuff. Do you really think that you could live in temperatures that get down to 30 degrees at night or sub 0 at night, you couldn't even live in a cave. Let me spare you the suspense. You could not even live in a cave. And most people are like, yeah, but I could build a fire. I'm like, not if you were an animal. If you were an animal, you could not build a fire. You're not smart enough to. Remember, we're human animals, not human beings. All right? So where could we live as human beings? Well, we could live in the tropics, 100%. We can grab fruits. We can eat fruits. We don't have claws. We don't have teeth. We're not fast enough to catch these things. So now some people would say, well, but you have guns. Again, we're human animals. We're not human beings. All right. And listen, I eat meat. So I eat a lot more vegetables and fruits than I eat meat, but I still eat a little bit of meat. So I get it. All right. And yes, all of them all the food groups make me feel better, except for like bread and ugly carbs like that. I just start to gain too much weight in the belly, and I don't want that. But look, at the end of the day, the weather here in Panama is optimal for human beings. It's even better than Mediterranean weather, all right? It is optimal for human beings. Now, here's another thing that I looked at that I really liked about Panama is the corruption is very low in Panama. Listen, like Billy Carson says, they're all polytricksters, all right? But polytricksters, or AKA politicians, okay, here in Panama are less corrupt than a lot of the world. Now, there are other ones, like other places that I would like to live in, all right, that I'm eyeing as home number 2 that I will be living in within the next, let's say, 4 or 5 years, all right, when I decide to have my second child or something. There's one, Chile. For sure, I want to go back and take a look at Chile as a potential new home for myself, all right? It's beautiful. The internet is fast. It's safe for the most part. There's obviously parts you don't want to go into. There is a little bit more theft, like as a tourist, than I care for. But if you're smart, which I'm a professional traveler, I know how to not be a dumbass and like get robbed and stuff like that. I know don't walk down that way. I know to ask the locals before I go out and explore. But look, here's the bottom line. Panama, it's like flat. So their corruption is very low, okay, here. And let me tell you something. The people here in Panama, I'm going to show you here in a little bit, if they don't like something, they're going to tell you all about it, all right? And they're going to tell their government. They don't sit idle, and the country is very small. So when they protest, it really F's up the country. So they can really affect change through protests. And I'm going to talk about that here in a little bit. Now, you can take a look here. Latin American exports to the U.S., they're one of the highest exporters of grapes. We've got this area called Boquete, which is beautiful. They call it the eternal spring because it's literally 70 degrees. It's up in the mountains all year round. Now, sometimes it's a little rainier, sometimes it's not, but it is a very, very beautiful region that I have not been to, but I want to go to. And it's very, very beautiful. If they had snow, I probably would never leave Panama, but I am a snowboarder. I love snow. So this is one of the reasons why I'm going to Chile or Argentina, or who knows, maybe somewhere else if the time barrier suits me. Now, one of the other thing here is the growth in the size of the different Latin American countries. Panama's number 2 to Paraguay, all right? It's had massive, massive growth from 2000 to 2022. You can see here the growth is almost 700%. That's fantastic. That is fantastic, and it's second only to Paraguay. In fact, they say that the Latin American country that is closest to the United States is Panama. Now, Panama is, again, a very small country. There's about a little bit over 4 million inhabitants. A lot of them are expats as well, so that's a really cool thing. But Panama is a hub. We've got the Panama Canal. I actually see it right here from my office. It's really cool. But they've just got so many cool things, banking. We're going to talk about a lot about of some of the amenities that they have here. Now, the real estate market, depending on where you're at, has been relatively flat, okay? Now, you want to be selective if you are going to get into real estate. Like one of the places that I've really been eyeing for a long time, and it's a place where I bought property before. It's called Costa del Este. Now, this is like a suburb, a city suburb, I should say, because it is a city of Panama that they've developed. It's been really well planned. They've got every single thing that you could ever want there. The best grocery stores, the best shopping, the best parks. You've got a lot of really great office buildings that you can have a business in. You really don't need to leave Costa del Este. And a lot of businesses have started in or have moved their companies to Costa del Este because of the convenience. And so naturally, the real estate here has just boomed. They've seen a real steep increase in real estate. And again, this is where like I've started buying some real estate because I think that it is a really good place to invest because of all the businesses coming in. And there are some short-term rentals that are zoned here because in the country of Panama, you can't just buy a place in, you know, one of whatever building you want to and put an Airbnb in there. It's prohibited. You have to have a building that is zoned for it. And that makes those buildings very, very valuable. So this is some of the things that we've been started buying in Costa del Este. And we intend for those real estate prices to keep going up for us. Now, banking. Banking is definitely, it's a challenge, but it's also very flexible. All right. Like getting set up with a business account here. Oh my OMFG. All right. It is a pain in the ass for getting a business account set up, okay? It is not easy. It takes some time. It's not like you're just going to walk into like a Chase or a Bank of America and walk out that same day with a business account as long as you have all your paperwork. They ask all these questions. Hopefully here in the near future, it will lax a little bit, okay? Because they just got rated very high in the world for their banking. And that was, you know, a lot of these stringent rules were because of the Panama Papers that got released a few years ago. This was something that really hurt Panama's banking system, but they have really worked on cleaning their act up and keeping their nose clean. And now that they're kind of back on top, they're rated one of the top countries for banking. I think that things will start to relax or get more efficient, which I think is just key. But in terms of crypto, which is one of the things that I care about the most, okay, we've got some really great banks. Now, there are some banks that are just like, the words crypto start coming out of your mouth, and they're like, there's the fucking door. Don't ever come back here again, all right? Like, we don't want to have anything to do with crypto. But there are banks that are leaning into crypto. And so one of them, Tower Bank, I actually bank with them. They're really good. They're really good. I mean, I can send crypto into my bank account, directly into my bank account, and within seconds, it tops up my actual bank account. All right. This is not a prepaid Visa. It is very simple to do. All right. If you're a business, Canal Bank is one, and a good friend of mine, he's like their version of the CEO there, very high up executive. This is where we do some of our business banking. Okay. So this Canal Bank, really good for the commercial side. So if you're a business bank, then you definitely want to go to there. And they do very low crypto transfers into there. We just did a huge crypto transfer into there. And it was like, you know, a very low buy down rate, like 1.5%. If you go to Tower Bank, it's going to be like 2.some% in order to convert your crypto, but still well worth it if you're making way more than that on your gains. Okay. So banking, really simple and crypto friendly, something that is very near and dear to me. Now, like if you go to a country, like let's say Dubai is super crypto friendly. However, none of their banks are. Like their banks are just like, nope, we're not doing anything with you in crypto. Sorry. And I'm like, well, but they say it's super crypto friendly. They're like, yeah, well, you know, like it's super friendly when it comes to the regulation and transferring into brokers and stuff like that. But good luck cashing out. And I was just like, whoa, that kind of sucks. All right. Now, some of the cons of Panama. I told you that I was going to tell you the bad. All right. I told you I was going to tell you the bad. By the way, again, if you guys want questions answered, I'm going to end up answering these at the end of at the end of this. So ask the questions and Ruben's going to read them off to me at the end. Okay. Also, hit that like button because we need to bring more people, and share this with your friends. If somebody's like thinking about moving out of the country, this is the channel for them. All right. On YouTube, subscribe to us because we're going to keep bringing a lot of different countries that I've been to and the pros and cons tax wise and all this stuff. All right. Now, Panama has a disgusting trash issue. All right. Now, you don't always see it. All right. Which is a good and a bad thing. All right. You don't always see it, but there are a lot of times where you'll go and you'll be driving and you're like, what in Jesus H. Herbert's happening here? All right. What is happening here? How is it that this beautiful city and skyline has this garbage here? And I have talked to a lot of the higher ups, some multi-billionaire families that I've talked to, because I really am going to be part of this solution. All right. We're trying to get in with the mayor of Panama. I think he lives in my current building. So I got to figure out how to get in contact with him. But he just newly elected, really, really progressive guy, really business-minded guy. I want to get in because I want to start raising some money for this trash issue. They don't have a really good recycling incentive. And by the way, if you're interested in helping out with this problem, maybe you know somebody who's like really good at recycling or bringing ideas, reach out to us. I really want to know who you are. Or if you're interested in helping us raise money for this, because let me tell you, the two differences between Costa Rica, which is their next door neighbor in Panama, and Panama is this trash problem. They have, actually, I think there's more people living in Costa Rica than there are in Panama. And Panama is litter infested. All right. Litter infested. Now, if you go to certain places, again, like you go to their best beaches, of course, there's not going to be you're not going to see a speck of trash there. Okay. But in the city, there are places where it just gathers, and we need to do a better job here in Panama to make this better. Okay. Now, there is an initiative to make things better here. Now, and again, we're going to be part of this solution. There are people who are like, yes, we've identified this. We want to do more, but now we just got to get more action going. Okay. Out here. Now, the other thing that is a con is the traffic. Listen, here's the thing though. Everywhere you go, everybody complains about traffic, right? So like, luckily, I usually come in off hours. I'll either get in really, really early or I'll get in a little bit later after rush hour. In that case, like, dude, it takes me 5 minutes to get here, if that. All right. If that. However, if you get stuck in traffic, there have been times where there's like a festival going on or something. And obviously that's just like the exception. Like, you'll be stuck in traffic for 2 hours to get literally 5 miles away. All right. It's not that bad all the time, but if you get caught in traffic, usually from like, let's say 7:37 to 7:30 to about 9, I mean, you're in for a rude awakening. However, it's the same thing in Orange County. It's the same thing in LA. All right. But it just feels a little bit gnarlier because the drivers here are just not, I mean, they're not like Asia bad. All right. But and I'm not saying anything bad about Asian drivers. I've just seen the way they drive in Asia and it's just not good. But they're still not like if you complain in Orange County that the drivers are bad, you don't know anything in regards to what a bad driver looks like. Here, they'll just like, to make a right turn, they'll go from this lane and I mean, it's just so bad. All right. It's so bad. But you definitely want to understand that there is traffic and it is a problem. And, the more people who decide to move here, the more traffic there's most likely going to be. However, they do have one of the best metro systems in all Latin America as well. So maybe people start to use those metro systems a little bit more frequently. That may reduce a lot of the traffic, but still traffic is an issue. The other thing, protest. Now, you can see this as a good or a bad thing, all right? It's a bad thing if you're like an expat and you're just like, okay, I came here for like the sunny weather and, you know, all the good things and the good food. But it's a bad thing if you're like an expat and then all of a sudden, like, they've cut off the entire chain supply to the city and now the food can't come from the countryside in, and, you know, you don't have plantains or bananas or oranges, or the price of your food goes from like, you know, $1 to $3 because of these protests. Now, these protests aren't frequent, but in my experience, in 2 years, there's been 3 major protests here that lasted more than, 3 weeks. So the last one, though, that was here was over a mining company. I honestly, in all of the protests, I was actually on the side of the protesters, all right, on all of them. But it's hardcore, and these people can go like a really, really long time just clogging up this city. And trust me when I tell you, businesses would close. It was really hard to get stuff. And they really know how to like make the point to the government to where it's like, yo, you guys need to come to the negotiating table. But it's not comfortable. And there was times where it was a little scary here last year because there was like crazy riots. They'd like shattered glass. It was not fun. All right. It was not fun. Luckily, by the end of the riots where it got the most intense, my family and we actually just left and we went to South America. We went to Argentina, Uruguay, Chile, which I'm going to be talking about in the coming weeks. So stand by. But it was intense. It was intense. And like a war zone where our office is, like things were just spray painted and it was glass shattered. They had broken into some places. They didn't steal anything, but they just broke the glass, and it was just like horrible. Now, good news, within 3 weeks of the riots resolving, they painted the spray paint, they glassed everything back up, and it was business as usual. It looked like nothing ever even happened. Okay. But when it was going down, it was not comfortable. All right. Now, if you live in Costa del Este, you were solid. You were golden. All right. If you lived in, where we were living, one day there was 100,000 people that walked by our house protesting with huge bullhorns, and you couldn't even hear yourself think. All right. And huge music. And I mean, it was intense. So bear in mind here, if they don't like something, they're going to do it. And usually it works. But both sides typically dig their heels in. It's not like the United States where the polytricksters are just like, okay, we're just going to do it. And they do it. All right. Here, they're like, yeah, that's not going to happen. They will shut down the entire country before the government gets their way if they don't like the way that things are headed. Now, I told you some of the good things and some of the bad things. But there's an old joke, all right, that my friend likes to tell me. And it's about the Cubanito, the Cuban guy, all right, the Cuban guy. And I have this problem every time I go and travel, and I travel a lot. So I usually go to places and I can find the good in everything and see myself living here. And do I want to buy some real estate here and all this stuff? Okay. However, you got to understand, then let me tell you the joke. All right. So one day this Cuban, he ends up dying and he goes to the pearly gates of heaven, and St. Peter is waiting for him. And, he says, hey, welcome to heaven. You can stay here for as long as you'd like. And the Cuban stays there. He's there for like an eternity. And then, he goes to St. Peter one day. Hey, St. Peter, man, it's getting a little boring here in heaven. I want a little spice. Like, is there anywhere else I can go? And St. Peter says, well, you know what? You can go to hell, but it's very bad. It's very, very bad there. You don't ever want to go to hell. And he goes, well, what's in hell? Well, that's where all the bad people go. So he goes, okay, well, he goes, but if you go to hell, you can only go once. If you go a second time, you have to stay there forever. So the Cuban goes and he spends a lifetime thinking about it. And then he comes back and he's just sick of heaven. And he goes, listen, St. Peter, I just want to go for 1 week. And then I'm going to come back and I just need a vacation from this. All right. Just one time. He goes, okay. So he goes down. He takes the elevator down. The elevator opens. And it's this cool club right on the beach. And everybody's having fun. And they're drinking and smoking weed. And man, there's no consequence. You don't wake up with a hangover. He stays there for a week. And he comes back to heaven. He goes, St. Peter's, why didn't you tell me it was such a great place? And so he goes, well, yeah, it's okay. It's a great place until it's not. So anyways, he goes, you can't go back though, because you go back, then you stay forever. So St. Peter or the Cuban, he ends up going and he stays in heaven for another eternity. And he's just, man, I want to move back to hell because it's just, I can't handle it here. It's too peaceful. I got to go. So he ends up going to St. Peter and St. Peter tells him, listen, man, next time you go down, that's it. You're done. I know. But that's just too boring here. I need to change the pace. And it's way more fun down there. So he goes down on the elevator again. The elevator opens and fire immediately comes in and the devil's there with his whip and, oh my gosh, what's going on? It puts him to work and he's, come on, man. Like last time I came here was so much fun. And the devil tells him, Cuban, you should know better that it's different from being a tourist than being a resident. All right. So this is something that you have to understand, that every place has their good shit and their bad shit. But you got to understand, like, what is it that really resonates with me? All right. So this is Panama. This is the good stuff of Panama. All right. Like, I spend a lot of my time in all of this stuff. This right here is Casco Viejo. It's like their old town. It is beautiful. They've got every single type of restaurant, really good, fine cuisine that you could ever want. You walk on the streets. It's a lot of fun. They have cool shops. This is Costa del Este. It's very, very beautiful inside of Costa del Este. This is one of the islands called San Blas. It's probably the nicest places that I've ever been in my entire life, beach-wise. This is the city, all right, where the business district in Panama, it's very beautiful here, very modern, a lot of great things. You have Boquete, this is the mountains. You have this beautiful river, beautiful homes. It's very upscale there, great weather. But again, there's the good and then there's the bad. So you got to realize that there is definitely two places. Now, how to make this possible? How can you make a move from the United States? Because you're probably sitting there like, yeah, this guy's telling me all these good things, but how is it that I'm a nurse, I'm a truck driver, I'm a whatever, a dog trainer here. How can I do this? Well, I'm about to give you a few ideas. All right. So here's some examples of some remote type of jobs that you can get into. All right. You can get out of your existing business, or you can figure out how to do your business online. Okay. There's lots of people who are like lawyers and they just do things online now and they can live anywhere in the world. Okay. So here's some ideas: sales and marketing, a marketing manager, a sales rep, a PR specialist, software. If you want to learn how to program, and you can learn these things. I'm working on actually developing a relationship with a company that can help me, like a trade school that can help some of my students acquire some of these skills. Okay. But look, IT specialist, you can do remotely, web developer, medical coder. All right. Content creator. You can do copywriting. You can do graphic design. You can do art director. Service industry, Virtual assistant, you can tutor, you can translate. Business administration, you can do HR specialist, accounting, insurance, underwriter. There's lots of different types of businesses that you can get into. And look at what some of these people make from the United States. $67,000 for a copywriter, $53,000 for a graphic designer, copy editor, $63,000, art director, $97,000, content moderator, $52,000, web developer, $77,000, human resources specialist, $63,000, accountant, $73,000, financial analyst, $83,000, insurance underwriter, $72,000, all of which these can be done remotely. Virtual assistant, $41,000, customer service representative, $36,000, tutor, $39,000, interpreter or translator, $52,000. And you can see here the highest paying remote jobs, $80,000, $140,000 for marketing manager, $160,000 for sales manager, $120,000 for web developer, $90,000 for project management specialist, business developer manager, $115,000, and accountant, $73,000. Now, bear with me. I'm about to get to some of the best stuff here. All right, some of the best stuff here, and I'm going to do just a YouTube video on remote ideas for working. Let me know if that's something you would be interested in. Okay, let me know if that's something you would be interested in. Type it in the chat, and I need for people to type it in the chat because I want to get some feedback as to if I'm producing good content that you're going to watch. But check this out. This is in Boquete. All right. Like one of the nicest parts and safest parts of Panama, with more expats, people from the United States, Canada, English-speaking people, than you'll know what to do with. Huge expat community. And this is something that people are like, they flock to here because of the 70-degree weather all year round. Look at this. From 2010 to 2012, we paid $600 per month for a fully furnished, 2-bedroom, 1.5 bath on an acre with 100 banana plants, coffee plants, exotic flowers, and a spectacular view. $600 per month. Now, this is back 2010 to 2012. We could pay more, but why? We have everything we need at an affordable price. The same house rents for $750 in 2023. Guys, gals, that's not a lot. And look, this is from the same person. What it would cost for you to live today, right now, in fucking paradise. All right? $1,945. And Boquete, you have everything that you could ever want. Great dining, great organic farms in there. That's super close to all of the farms. So you will get to know the farms out there. That's where all the country's food comes from, is that area. Okay. $1,945. Look at this. The lowest one that I told you about was $36,000 per year. $36,000 per year, okay? And you end up with an extra $1,000 per month to do what? Okay? What do you do with the money that you save? You invest, all right? And this is what we teach here. So like I'm able to work from wherever I want in the world. Now, let me tell you, the time difference for me was the killer. And that was the reason that I moved from the country of Georgia. Otherwise, I would still be over there, because from the West Coast, which was where a lot of my students were at that time, now it's more spread out through the world. But during that time, it was a 12-hour difference. It was a killer for me. And it was a killer for my company. So I needed to be on this side of the world. Panama is on this side of the world. Hands down, best option. Chile is another one that I'm eyeing, okay? I might go to Colombia, but I need snowboarding. So I'm probably going to go to Chile or Argentina. Those are 2 hours, only 2 hours ahead of East Coast time. 1 to 2 hours because they don't switch their clocks back. But this is definitely somewhere where I'm going to be going. Now, I can work remotely. I figured it out. I used to work in an office job where I had to be there. I had to be in Southern California at least 5 days out of the week. I had to be in Southern California. My job was very location specific. Until one day, you know what I said? Screw it. I'm going to figure out how I can work remotely. I don't want to live in California anymore. It's too costly. And even if I'm making more money here, I can make less somewhere else and breathe because the overhead was way, way lower. Okay. Now, what do we do with that money once we have it? We invest it. And this is what I teach. All right. This is one of the things that I teach. Ruben, throw up a link. All right. Throw up the link so that people can sign up. We have 7 days free, absolutely free that you can check out. We have an app. We have a course every single day except for Sunday. Okay. That's our Sabbath that we just relax and chill out. Okay. But we teach people what to do with their money. And we teach them how to be their own sovereign bank. See, what I showed you guys earlier about Panama and their banking system, what I didn't share with you is this. I custody the majority of my own money, and it's constantly at work for me. If I have it in a bank in Panama and they get so mad at me, all right, because they're like, why don't you put your money in my bank? And I'm like, because my bank is earning me a minimum of 36% per year. Your bank is earning me maybe 5%. That's why I don't have it in your shitty bank. Okay. So what ends up happening though, is once you're able to put that money to work, and I'm actually going to do this next week. I've listened to you guys. I'm going to do a lesson on remote working and then how you can dollar cost average to turn this into millions of dollars like I have. Okay. But you've got to bring down that overhead and you've got to find things so that you can move over here. What's another pro that you have moving to another country or Panama if you want? All right. And hang in there with me because I have one more thing that I want to talk to everybody here about that I think everybody's going to like, because I'm going to show you how you can take action on this today. Another thing is that you don't have to pay such high taxes. If you live in another country, there's something called the foreign income exclusion, where as a single person, you don't pay taxes on $125,000 of your money, okay, as a single person. As a married couple from the United States, $250,000. And if you're outside of the United States and you have like really high taxes like Germany or Spain or something like that, and you live here, the sky's the limit. And guess what? Panama charges for income on your crypto. Zero on capital gains. So it's very, very friendly here for taxes, and your income that you receive, they don't touch that either. There's all sorts of really good visas that you can have here that you don't have in other places in the world. That's why a lot of people come here, and especially expats. All right. Now, we have this thing called the DeFi 7-day challenge. So if you come and you sign up with us, you have the option to get into DeFi within 7 days, okay, which is what I teach. I teach you how to become your own bank, and you can enter to win. If you can complete the challenge in 7 days, to win up to $1,000 in our cryptocurrency that we have that is actually backed by other cryptos. It's not just some scam coin, and we have it verified on the blockchain. We teach you all about it here in that 7 days, but you can enter to win $1,000. Again, guys, gals, you can get in for 7 days free with us. All right, 7 days free. Now, check this out. You're invited to our mastermind. I'm going to throw up our commercial real quick. Ruben, hit that commercial real fast so everybody can see we're having a mastermind event here so you can learn more about Panama on August 14th through the 18th. Ruben, hit it.
You are seeing this because you have been chosen. You are invited to our exclusive AR Crypto Mastermind 24 event in Panama City, Panama, to learn the most advanced crypto profit-making strategies in the decentralized finance universe. When? August 14th to the 18th. Only 100 people in the entire world will be attending. Hurry. There is a limited amount of tickets left.
So I can't wait to see you all at our 2024 Mastermind here in beautiful Panama.
All right, guys, gals, it's literally like the entry ticket is like $888. All right. We're going to show you all around. We're going to show you exactly what Panama is all about. Okay. It's very cheap to stay here in Panama. I haven't seen exactly what the students are finding. I think they said they were finding about $100. You can share a room with somebody if you like. If you want the red carpet rolled out, we have the Masters, which is I think about $3,500 for the Mastermind. We roll out the red carpet. You have your hotel room booked, all that stuff. We have some luxury dinners and events that we're gonna have everybody. But we're gonna show you what Panama's like. What are the benefits here? We even have one of our students that she took our advice as to what we talked about. She wants to help relocate people down here. So she's going to talk to you about some of those benefits on how you can do that for really, really inexpensive. Moving down to Panama, getting access to all this stuff. I'm really excited for this event. It's coming right around the corner. It's super cheap to fly to Panama. It's super cheap to get a hotel room. Guys, gals, you don't want to miss out. Do not drag your feet on this one. It's going to be a very good one. If you're not ready to do that, jump into our courses. Get started. Get learning DeFi. Get learning how to become your own bank, because you want to know why? You can travel all over the world with your own bank. You want to know why? I have done it. There's not been one country that I have not been able to use my own bank. I pay for things in crypto every single day. I make things happen. All right. So listen, we're getting to the end of this. Let me answer some questions, but I am really, really, really excited to see you guys down here. And if not, see you in class. All right. So Ruben, what kind of questions do we have here? Ruben's going to come up here in a little bit. Let me stop sharing my screen here.
So Sully asks, what is the trucking industry like here?
You know, that I don't know. I know that there are a lot of truckers, and if you're a good one, there's probably a lot of opportunity. And see, here's the thing about it, Sully. Like, maybe if you're good, which I actually know, Sully, maybe you start your own trucking company down here. And if you talk to, like, let's say, for instance, my friend Jack McCall, he can help you get access to really, really cheap financing. You use that money from the United States to finance your business down here, and you hire truckers, and then you're not driving all over the place, but you're managing those truckers. So Sully, that might be something that you might be interested in. That's an idea. Boom. Right? That's that. But there is a lot of trucks. Trust me, I hear them all day long.
Okay, so we have a Cosmostrology. He says, how is the food and fruits in regards to healthy eating?
So let me tell you this, okay? There are certified people that are organic, all right? And then there are like the farmers markets where they're like, yeah, it's totally organic. And they're probably not, all right? But again, I use my stomach as the gauge. Like when I go to the United States, even when I eat, like my stomach always gets upset. All right. For some reason, when I'm in the United States, my stomach is upset for almost the whole duration that I'm there. When I come back to Panama, my stomach's right as rain again. So as far as that, I see the stuff, you know, it gets bad fast, which is the way you want your food to do, right? Like natural food goes bad, right? So according to what I know, what all my friends do, where I do shop at the farmers markets, and it's very inexpensive. It is high quality food. I feed my daughter that food, so I wouldn't be doing that. But is that going to stop me from creating my own farm and having just like my own food grown on my own land? No, I'm probably going to do that at some point, but I'm still waiting on a little bit more money to do that. So that's my answer to that. What else?
So Andrea Davis says, do you do in-person classes in Panama?
If you come down, I'll do an in-person class. Why not? Yeah, let's do it. We can do that.
And then this young lady asked, let me see here. She said, "How about how is the long boarding in Costa Rica?"
Well, the longboarding in Costa Rica is good. I actually was staying in Tamarindo, which the waves were epic there. If you're longboard or shortboard or whatever, dude, I was there one time where it was maybe like 6 foot overhead and perfect waves, rights and lefts. They just have a really awesome reef there. And there's all sorts of better places that I've heard of. Here in Panama, though, same thing. Bocas del Toro has some epic short and longboarding in the wintertime. And it's like Tahiti water. And it's literally a 45-minute to 50-minute epic flight where you can pay like maybe $200 round trip with like the coolest planes you've ever been in your entire life. They're like these big prop planes, and you've got like, you can see out the front because there's nothing protecting the front. You're right there with the captains. You can see all around. It is so cool just the experience getting there. And then the water is turquoise with white sand and epic lefts and rights. I'm going to start surfing next year, and I'm going to start going to Bocas because the water there is so beautiful and the waves are even more epic. So I want to go and do that there for sure.
So Bennett asked, he said he's also interested in Costa del Este. Do they have short-term rentals?
Yeah, there is short-term rentals, and we actually have a tokenized real estate project, Bennett. So if you want to buy into that tokenized real estate, you don't have to buy a whole one. You can buy a portion of one, and we can get you set up. If you're part of the ARC, let us know. And if you're not part of the ARC, sign up. It's 7 days free trial, and you can message me on our ARC app. We have an app just for ARC that we developed. It's right here. All right. This is our ARC app. It's on Google. It's on Apple. And it's on desktop. So you can message me personally, and I'll get you in contact with Leon to buy some tokenized real estate. So, yeah.
So
awesome.
Research.
Bennett's an Apex member. So Bennett, message me and we'll get you access to some tokenized real estate.
So Research Focus says, where do you fly for the Mastermind? What city is it at?
Yeah, so the Mastermind is here in Panama. You fly here and Panama City. And by the way, that's the other thing that I didn't. One of the pros, dude, you can get anywhere in the world super easy. Panama, it's one of the world's hubs. So if you want to get to Europe, super easy. If you want to get to Turkey, super easy. If you want to get to the United States, it's easier to get into Panama than like going from one state to another in the United States. It's so easy. Customs, you breeze right through. There's never a line. I've only heard of one time where there was a line, and it was just kind of like a fluke. So let's see here.
The next one is the Crypto Garden says, is there any aquaponic farms?
There's a lot of aquaponic farms. So I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. The Crypto Gardener, he's one of our best students, by the way. For those of you guys who want like the best student, it's like, yeah. But anyways, there are aquaponic farms. I don't know if it's good or a bad thing, but there is a lot of them. Yeah, for sure.
What's the address of the event? Approximate is fine also.
Yes, it's actually at the Hilton on Avenida Balboa, which is like the main boardwalk. It's going to be epic.
That's all we got, bro.
Yeah, so somebody's saying here, Boca's ARC surf crew. Oh man, that would be awesome. I'm telling you, I'm actually going to start surfing because like I can't get to snowboarding very accessible here. It takes me like 7 hours each way to get to like any sort of snowboarding. So I got to start surfing again and it's just I can go on a nice surf trip right up the coast here to Bocas del Toro. And there's actually really good surfing here as well near the city. It's like maybe an hour away. There's some epic waves. I've just never been to them, but I don't know. I need to get back into the scene.
That's all we got, bro.
All right, cool. Guys, gals, sign up with 7 free days. If you're interested in learning more about Panama, you can come down here. It's starting at $888. I want to see you. I want to see you in class, hopefully in person. Lots of love. I'll see you guys on the next one. I'll be back on Thursday, same time. Cheers.